everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brown's Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, but you can call me Grizzer if you want to. A lot of people do. Hey, this is where you can come and get your 10-minute take on the latest news involving our Cleveland Browns. If you can, do me a favor, like this episode. Go back, like all the episodes, please, if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel. And please get those comments in the comments section. We've had good ones, man. I can take it, good or bad. I don't care. I just love hearing from you and your reaction to the takes we have on our channel. So, hey, today we got lot to unpack. So, round 2 and round 3 of the NFL draft. We got to get through the picks. We'll give you our opinions. A lot of stuff we like, when some of it we don't. Okay, we'll get to all that. Also, hey, today we have picks in rounds 4, 5, and 6. We have some great options, folks. So stick with me, hear me out. There are plenty of options left for the Browns to find some gems late in this draft, and we're going to let you know what are the Browns making sensible picks. The majority thinks Andrew Berry's going off the rail again, but here's what I'm going to say. Yes and no. We'll get to that. But first, let's start with round 2. The Browns come out of the gate swinging, right? We got the first pick in the second round. Shadir Sanders is still sitting there. Some other big names on the board. But Andrew Berry is the smartest guy in the room. So what does he do? Takes Carson Schwarzenegger from UCLA. I love it when a guy has a last name that's harder to pronounce than mine. So this is why I love the pick. Now, here's the thing. 6'3", 242 out of UCLA. Out of the gate, folks, here's what I'm going to tell you. This is a bigger version of JOK. He's a little taller, got a little more meat to him, but this guy goes side to side. He's all over the field. And when they were talking about him in the post-draft press conference, I heard the word blitz probably 4 or 5 times when they were talking about Carson. And so he's going to be used a lot like JOK is. Now, the first reaction when you took him was, oh, crap, does that mean JOK is done? Does that mean we are already searching for his replacement because of his neck injury? And the answer to that, Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski addressed it. They said no. Even if JOK was 100% healthy, they were taking Carson Schwarzenegger at that spot. So they had him pegged, and they weren't going to let him get out of it. Apparently, they got some calls that people wanted to trade up, but they were not giving up that pick. They were taking the linebacker out of UCLA. Next pick, they only had to wait a few picks. Quinshon Judkins, and you know how I feel about this, folks. I could not decide who I liked better. Was it Judkins or Trayvon Henderson? And we get Judkins. They're already calling him Q in the building, so get used to that. So Q, 6 foot, 221. I mean, come on. If you're a Buckeyes fan, you know what he can do. I mean, they're comparing him to Joe Mixon, by the way. So not a bad comparison, but they're already talking about him possibly being that workhorse back. So, they see a lot of Nick Chubb in him, I think. They know he can catch the ball. So, I love him. I think it's a great pick. It'll help with the running game, obviously, and then it's also going to help the passing game because of the play action. And so, now Jerome Ford can slide back to that backup role. But Quinshon Judkins with that second pick in the second round, we love it. So I'm all on board for that. We talked about him a lot in previous episodes. Another guy we mentioned, another guy we liked, another guy we got. Round 3, pick 67, Harold Fannin Jr., 6'3", 241, out of Bowling Green. He's a Falcon. I have a son who goes to Bowling Green, plays club baseball for them. So I know a lot about Harold Fannin Jr., folks. And he's been somebody I've been hearing about since before last season even began, the last college season. And so he led the FBS in receptions with 117. He receiving yards, he led FBS 1555. But here's what stood out. He dominated against Penn State. He dominated against Texas A&M. So it's not just, the OUs or the Kent States of the world that Harold Fannin Jr. was shining against. And so, that stood out. And what Stefanski and Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry said about him, when you just look at the tape, first of all, he's only 20 years old. He's doing all of it. He's doing all of this at such a young age. And so they still see so much room for development, but the guy catches everything. And so unlike our other tight end, David Njoku, who drops his every single easy pass that comes to him. He'll make the circus catch, but he can't make the easy ones. But Harold Fannin Jr. catches everything, so you don't have to worry about that. And the other thing is he can block, even though everybody thinks he's just a pass catcher. And Bowling Green used him. And you go back and you look at this tape, it's insane. He's a wildcat. They run in jet sweeps. They put him in the slot. I mean, he could throw the ball for you if you wanted to. I mean, he does everything but drive the bus. And so I think that's what the Browns really like. There's a lot of versatility with him, and they're going to use him. They're going to use him a lot. So glad to see them get Harold Fannin Jr. with that first pick in the third round, and then we get to pick 94. A guy that I didn't even mention. We talked about all the quarterbacks that I thought they might draft. This is the one guy. Of course, they take the one guy we don't even mention on this show. Dillon Gabriel, 5'11", 205 from Oregon. And I got to give viewer Raymond Santiago the shout out. He commented on one of the previous videos. He said, a lot of people are overlooking Dillon Gabriel. He goes, there are a lot of teams that are going to regret passing on him. And boy, Raymond Santiago, I think every Cleveland Browns fan hopes you're right, because this was a big swing. Again, here we go. Andrew Berry, smartest guy in the room, right? Sanders is still sitting there. I don't like Sanders, but Will Howard still sitting there, all 6'5" of him. Ohio State Buckeye, national champion. But Berry goes with Gabriel. And what they said was they like his experience. I mean, he set the FBS record for starts, 60. Total touchdowns, 179. And they say even though he's 5'11", he's got a strong arm. As soon as when they made the pick, right away I thought of Paul McDonald. Remember the old Browns lefty quarterback? And then I always think about, whenever Paul McDonald's name comes up, I always think about when the wide receivers were complaining. They kept dropping the ball, and they kept blaming the fact that Paul McDonald was left-handed and the ball the spin was different, and that's why they kept dropping the ball. Stefanski mentioned that in the post-draft press conference, that the ball does come out differently, but other than that, there's no differences. Now, they're comparing him to Kellen Moore. I would prefer they compare him to Steve Young, who won a Super Bowl. But, I mean, there have been some other left-handed quarterbacks who lasted in the league, well, including Michael Vick. But, and then you got the Snake, Kenny Stabler from way back in the day. So, I mean, lefty quarterbacks, do have success. The other thing with this pick is you don't have to worry about your left tackle so much. Now you need a right tackle who knows what they're doing over there, because you got a completely different blind side. So, anyway, here's the thing. They love him. They've been on him. They've been on him forever, since they were with him at the Senior Bowl. They worked him out in Oregon, and they love him. They love the fact that even though he's shorter, with the play action, deep drops, he can see over the line. And then they also say he changes his arm angles enough to where he's dealt with this his entire career, and so they love his experience. They love what he brings. And so Dillon Gabriel, there's your potential quarterback of the future, taken in round 3. So it's very interesting now, as you get into the later rounds, what the Browns could do. And I'm going to tell you, folks, they have a lot of options. So round 4 coming up here, and it'll start at noon. But Jordan James is still sitting there if you want to get Gabriel's teammate from Oregon, the running back. You can get him. How about Cameron Williams? This is a guy that I'd be interested in. Offensive tackle from Texas, 6'6", 317. He's a right tackle, too. They say he's developmental, but a guy that size, he's athletic. He'd look nice on our line. Jalen Reed, the safety from Penn State. Jack Sawyer, of course. Ohio State, put that guy on the edge, too, along with what we've already got on defense. Cody Simon, also Ohio State, still there. Then you get to round 5. Jalen Travis, offensive tackle from Iowa State, 6'8", 339. I would definitely look at him. Or Jack Nelson, the left tackle from Wisconsin. He's a 2-year starter, 6'7", 315. I would definitely get him. If you want an extra cornerback, Denzel Burke, could possibly be there. Then round 6. You got guys like Jalen McLeod, the Auburn linebacker, Jordan Hancock, Ohio State cornerback, another Ohio State cornerback, Garrett Dellinger, though. How about this? The LSU guard. I mean, Joe Bitonio, not getting any younger, so if you wanted to try and find somebody that you could groom behind Bitonio, that is somebody you could take. Now, that brings us to this. Are the Browns making sensible picks with what they're doing? I'm going to say this. What they've done on defense, when you step back and look at it, it makes complete sense. And I wonder how much input Myles Garrett had in all this. When he was making his decision, he wanted to be traded, now he's going to stay, and he signs the contract. I wonder if this was part of the conversation. Get me some help on defense. And if you look at it, they have. Because you got Mason Graham now in the middle. And they said he will eat up some double teams, which should free up Myles Garrett a little bit more. So teams are going to have to pick or choose. Do you double Graham? Do you double Garrett? Here's the other thing, though. If you can get Schlesinger and JOK on the field at the same time, or, just Schlesinger alone, they're going to be blitzing from everywhere, which is also going to help Myles Garrett. Because they're going to have to, they're not going to be able to chip. They're going to have somebody picking up these blitzes, but they'll be blitzing from all sides of the field. The defense has really kind of come together here now. And then if you add another edge rusher here in one of the later rounds, you throw a Jack Sawyer in there on the other side. Come on. This defense, we might win a lot of games 3-0, but who cares? A win's a win. But this defense is really starting to shape up with what we've had already on the roster and what we had in the past. Now, Dylan Gabriel, again, I said, our man Barry he's the smartest guy in the room, but, with Will Howard was sitting there, but here's the thing. He's 24, got tons of experience. They spent a ton of time with him. They must know what they're doing, so we will trust the process, folks. We will trust in the pick. So that's the one I'm like, ugh. Only because Will Howard was there, and I love Will. I would have loved to see Will Howard playing for the Browns, but who knows? Maybe they'll take him in the later rounds. All right, that's going to do it. We've got later rounds coming up today. We'll have a reaction again tomorrow, folks. All right, thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Go Brownies!